All right, guys, we have about 3 minutes before we are going to get started. 3 minutes. The snack bar is open.
Oh, wait. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. You ever play ping pong?
If you haven't already, guys, make sure you are going to the restroom before we get started. Make sure you get some water. If you would like some from the snack bar, make sure you do all of that before we get started this morning.
She's not coming. Okay, you need to be holy. You need to be Okay, we're blocking the camera. Sorry. Yeah, I think that would just make sense. What? Make more sense. So like then we got cameras right in front of the camera.
All right, guys. 20 seconds. So if you are upstairs, go ahead and start making your way downstairs. If you are on a game, please come to a stopping point. If everyone can come and find their seats, we are about to get started in 3, 2, 1. All right.
What's up, man?
Guys, come on in, have a seat. We are so excited that you are with us this morning. Have a seat. All right. What is up? How's everybody doing today?
Good.
Awesome. How many of you guys were really excited to feel the cool fall weather this morning? Yes, I am super excited about a change in season over the heat as well. So I am super excited about fall. It's one of my favorite seasons. So yes to that. Did y'all have a good week?
No.
Week is done, right? No. School. I mean, I guess we can sum it up. One word. School. Hopefully it will get better.
Hopefully I'll be back I got 1 more week and then we're in school.
1 more week. Okay, you're just hanging in there. Hanging in there. Y'all hang in there for sure. All right. Well, we want to welcome you guys in. We will start this morning like we've been doing on Sundays, just taking a moment to pause from our week, to just reflect on what may have happened this week, and then just really go into God in worship. And that, I think it's so important that we have these pause moments. And so we now have a live worship team. Y'all give it up for them. They have worked so hard to put this together. They're practicing, and I'm just so thankful for them and them wanting to lead you guys in this way. So we are going to transition into a moment of worship. So if you guys could go ahead and please stand to your feet. And we'll go ahead.
Ocean steam, my faith will stand. Call upon your name, keep my eyes above the waves. My soul will rest in your embrace, for I am yours. You are mine. Grace and mountains, deepest waters, your sovereign hand will be my guide. Pain may fail and fear surrounds me, never fail, and you won't stop now. I will call upon your name and keep my eyes above the waves. Oceans rise, my soul will rest in your embrace. For I am yours, you are mine.
Okay, all right, y'all give it up one more time for Amazing. I am so excited that they have just taken that step, their next step in being able to lead in worship. And I always want to plug, guys, if you are interested in serving here in the student room, if you feel like you want to be up on stage in the front, worshiping and leading your peers in worship, you also have that option. We want to get you plugged in. We want to make sure that you know that this is your space. You guys can lead. You guys can run things. It goes right along with the purpose and the mission behind 412, setting an example. And you guys can do just that. So I'm very thankful for that. We are going to move into a couple of announcements. The first, if this is your first time in here, we want to welcome you. We're always super excited for those who come back and for those who are here for the very first time. If it is your first time, we do have a gift for you. So, Miss Heather, you can raise your hand. Miss Heather works the very front. She's the first face you see when you guys come into the 412 room, and she has something for you if it's your first time. So make sure you see her before you leave today, and it is. All right, so a couple more announcements. Trash. Make sure you guys are finding the trash can if you are visiting the concessions or the snack bar. We are happy to serve you in that, but make sure you are finding the trash can. We want to make sure it stays clean in here, so you guys can feel comfortable. Phones. Make sure that as the lesson goes on, as we move into a lesson, guys, make sure your phones are on silent. Make sure you're not on your phone. We want to make sure that we are connecting with you, and it's very hard to do that if you are plugged into something else on your phone. So make sure your phones are off or on silent, and then that you are tuned in. Restrooms and water. Again, make sure you guys visit the restrooms, get you some water before you come in. We want to try to limit as much movement as we can when we get started in here. Alrighty, mask up. So if you are not here on Wednesday, you may have missed this announcement, but we are going full mask up, guys. So when you are moving around in the room and when you are sitting, we are encouraging you to have on your mask. We know that it's hard, but we want to make sure that we are keeping you safe all throughout the student room. And sometimes that is hard when you guys are sitting in your rows or in the seats in front. So make sure your masks are up all times in the students' room as best as you can, right? We don't want you guys passing out. We don't want you, getting sick in that. So if you need a second to take a fresh air breather, cool with that. Just make sure it's back up as soon as you can. All right. On a more fun note, we are in the process of planning our very first big event with 412. We're going to an escape room. I'm excited about escape room. Yes, they are so much fun. I'm so excited about it. So it's open now. Sign-ups are open. Your leaders have that link. So hopefully they have been pushing that out to you. Talk to your parents. It's $25. That's going to cover the actual participation in the escape room and then your transportation to get there. So yes, we will leave, or the date is October 24th. We will meet here at 1 o'clock with vans leaving at 1:30. So make sure at the very latest, if you plan to go, that you are here at 1:30. There is a parent participation form. Hopefully I said that right. Just an agreement for you guys to know what is expected of you when we are out doing things as a group, and then what you can expect from us when we are out with you. So make sure you guys talk that through. We need that form signed. It covers all events for 412. So your parents' permission for you to go this time is their same permission for next time and the time after. So we need that. $25 at sign up, and you guys will be good to go. I'm super excited about that for sure. All right, small groups. Small groups are happening when? Wednesday nights, what time?
6 to 8.
6 to 8 p.m. We are in our series, Jesus in Tough Times. It's going to be the last week of that. How many of you guys have been enjoying that series so far in your small groups? Yes. So real. Tough times are the real deal, and it always helps to have a guide in how we can handle these really challenging times. So yes, last week is this Wednesday in that series, and then we'll pick up the new series. So y'all stay tuned in that. On the same line of Wednesdays, how many of you guys participated enough over the summer? Kind of, sort of. So there were some Wednesdays that we didn't meet. What did we do? Okay, yeah. So over the summer, we had something called Freestyle Wednesday, and it is back. So for those of you who do not know, Freestyle Wednesday is one Wednesday out of the month where you get to do whatever you want to do with your small group leader to connect. You guys can go get ice cream. You could go get pizza. You could have a movie night. You could play. I think the guys over the summer did flag football in a park. Like, that is your Wednesday. Yeah, that is your Wednesday to connect with your small group leader in a way that's outside of the small group. So Freestyle Wednesdays are back. Make sure you are sharing with your leaders ideas, things you want to do, things that you want to participate in. I'm sure they will work hard to put it together for y'all. All right, so every week or so, because I've been slacking a little bit, we have something, or I have fully enjoyed being able to highlight some of your leaders. And so this week, we are highlighting Miss Amy. She's not in here right now, but we are highlighting Miss Amy. Just like your leaders, she's in here day in and day out wanting to serve and help lead you guys. And we are so thankful for her. So Miss Amy is a high school girls leader. So we are very thankful and excited to have her here in Fort 12. All right, guys. This part is by far my favorite part of the morning, or one of my favorites. It is a time where we get to, what do y'all think? Introduce the leaders. So if I can have all of our 412 leaders in the room, if they can come on down, we'd like to introduce all of you. Let's go. Y'all give it up for your leaders as they come. Give it up for your leaders. Here they go. Yeah. I know. CJ Kevin is on it with the song. CJ Kevin. All right. Y'all give it up one time for your leaders. All right, guys. So, You'll love them. You'll love your leaders, I'm sure. I know I love them. All right, so we are going to give them a chance to introduce themselves to you. For those who are new, for those of you who know, just enjoy the show. So here we go. I want you guys to share your name and who you work with. And then also, with the seasons changing, what is your favorite part about fall season? So,
Football.
My name is Lloyd. I work with the high school guy.
Yes, sir. Next Saturday.
He doesn't know what to do when he can't wear his Jordan jersey. You really press his girl.
okay, so I'm Heather. I work with the middle school girls.
Right, my favorite thing about fall is being outside
tailgating, pumpkin patches, chili, football, I call it all. Okay, let's see.
All right, I'm Trista. I work with the middle school ladies. And my favorite thing is pro football.
Yes.
And also we do fires on the rock.
Yeah.
It's like this big rock, big bonfires. I love it.
My name is Jeff, and I help lead the middle school guys. And what I like about fall, I like the cool weather. I like hanging outside, riding motorcycles, which I haven't done in a while, but I'd like to do that again. And then campfires.
My name is Christy and I work with middle school girls. And fall, the colors of the leaves, the cool weather, and campfires.
My name is Carrie, I work with the high school ladies. My favorite thing about fall is jacket weather.
And we have DJ Kevin upstairs. All right, Kevin, what you got?
My name is Kevin, and I work for the high school guys. And unlike Carrie, I have a ton of jackets, so over the next few weeks, you'll probably see many of the jackets I have, so it's just jacket.
Hey, all right, y'all, give it up for your leader. Awesome. And I am Sade. I work with the high school ladies also. Thanks, thanks. My favorite thing about fall is definitely the cool weather. I love boots and scarves and pullovers or hoodies, so that is my comfort. So I love fall, it's one of my favorite seasons also. All right, so we are going to, I have some questions for you guys. All right? I always have questions. I love answers. So, how many of you have ever felt frustrated about something? How many of you felt frustrated about something this week? How many of you felt frustrated about something today?
Probably.
Okay, so frustration is real, yes, same. So usually when I think about the reasons why I get frustrated, it's usually because something doesn't go the way I planned. Or something might be taking too long to happen, so I'm like, can we hurry this up? Could be like driving, could be so many different things. So things not going the way that we planned, things that are out of our control usually lead to feelings of frustration. So maybe some of you guys are frustrated this school year with your classes. Maybe your teachers. Maybe you guys, being the age range that you are constantly frustrated with your parents. Very real feelings of frustration. Maybe it could just be random people that do things or say things that frustrate you. So I took the liberty of looking up some things that are common to frustrate people. Y'all check out this video, see if any of this would frustrate you ever. I'll check it out.
You can't flush the toilet, man! What is that? Wait, what are you doing? I need a picture. Oh, this chicken would be so proud. Who's gonna call? Yeah, no. Just let me know. Oh my goodness. The speed limit is 30, not 5 miles an hour. Go! It was me! I knew it! I'm gonna be sick! Oh, shut up, breathe. Come on! Oh, you want some? responsibility. With great movies comes people who need to shut up. Okay. After you. Thank you. Oh, can you hold that for a second? Just hold me one minute, please. Just hold it. Wait. Excuse me, you're taking up 2 spots. Yeah, sorry, buddy. Sports car lifestyle. Park somewhere else. Sick! What are you doing? Get off your phone! Oh, it's fine, dude. I do this all the time. Can you grab the wheel? What? Grab the wheel! Hey, I'm Sam. I'm Kurt. Nice to meet you. Oh, come on, Casey, carry me. No, you Do you want a smoothie? Oh my God, there's gum under the table! Oh, seriously? What's that? Is it water? Oh, jackpot! Are you kidding me?
All right, so how many of you guys can relate to some of those things frustrating? Yes. Craziness, double dipping, cannot do it. Driving, so what were some of the ones that were just like absolutes for y'all? Driving slow, double dipping. What you got? Texting and driving, for sure. 2 spaces. Feet near the food. Oh my goodness. Yes, Ava. I missed it, girls. All right, yes. Oh, yeah, time. Ooh, Sister B. Called out. Being on the phone. It's kind of, yeah, I get that. I mean, there are things people do that frustrate us, things that we do that frustrate other people. So frustration is real. So for me, this week, some of the things, and your leaders are going to come around and have a couple things to hand out to you guys if they haven't handed them out already. Okay, awesome. So I'll talk a little bit about some frustrations that I feel like I have throughout the week, and sometimes I feel like I go through cycles of frustration. Like sometimes I'm good, and then other times I'm like, oh, this still bothers me. So this past week, definitely work. The things of this virtual learning has been super challenging. And so definitely work has been a frustration for me. Sometimes dealing with certain people cause frustration. Maybe they're people or friends that just do little things to frustrate you. That is a real thing. And then for me, I think one of the biggest things that even for the past few years that has been sort of a cycle of frustration is me just kind of thinking about where I am right now in my life, right? So 28, working. Also in this, God has placed me in a season of singleness right now. So, and it's been that way for the past couple of years. And I know a lot of the ladies in here can relate. You know, we have these desires to one day get married, and we have children, live in a big house, all of that. And so, I think God designed us to be very relational beings and to want that. And so, when you're working a lot and when you feel like you're doing things the right way, or the way that God has sort of intended them for your life, you start to think like, man, what's going on? I know for sure I go back and forth with God, like, man, I'm doing this, feel like things are going great. Where's my husband? So I do have these thoughts, and I think I just go through these cycles of frustration. And the most recent one, I felt I was in a moment where I really heard God speak, and I heard him say, am I not enough? And so when I started thinking about it, really, I was instantly convicted. Like, man, yeah, Lord, you are. Like, you do everything to me. Like, I want you. Like, I know that you are enough. But, we always have that but. And so I heard him ask me that question, and it just really convicted me. And it made me think, like, man, when we allow these feelings of frustration, whatever, may have happened this week, it really gets us thinking, like, man, is God not enough? Is he not big enough to be better and bigger than these frustrations? So right now on your note card, I want you to take a second and I want you to write down something this week or maybe in the past few months that has just been really frustrating to you. What has frustrated you this week? Like I said, for me, work, and then just that reoccurring, always in the front of my brain, like the singleness for me has always been, but God really asked me, like, am I not enough for this? And so as you guys are writing, it just really, I started to think that when we become frustrated, we often don't think that God is enough. We don't think that his grace is enough. We don't think his forgiveness is enough. We don't think his compassion is enough. And for me, I often forget that his promises are enough. Like, God has given me promises, hope in the future. And so in those moments, we often forget how good God is, and how he is enough in these seasons and these moments when we just get really frustrated. So what are some things, and if you feel comfortable sharing, yell out, but what are some things you guys feel like have been super frustrating this week or this season for you?
My
Teachers. Okay. That is frustrating. So school teachers, work. Yeah. I know we talked a little bit about some of those frustrations, but anything different that you guys wrote down? Frustration. Okay. So we are starting this, we're going to keep this sort of faith over series going. So if you were here last week, you got to hear Ashton speak on faith over fear. And today we are going to talk about faith over frustration. And so when I think of just knowing that frustration is a real emotion, I think we always have a choice. So, and real quick, guys, hold on to your note cards because we're going to need them at the very end. And then also you guys have a note sheet. So there will be some things on the screen that you guys can use to kind of follow along in the lesson this morning. But yeah, frustration just being a real emotion and just knowing that, like, we're going to get frustrated, but we can be frustrated, but we don't have to stay frustrated. So you can be in something and not remain in something. So you can be on punishment for something you did, but you don't have to stay on punishment, right? You do what you're supposed to do in that time, and then eventually your parents will let you off. You can be in a bad relationship, but you don't have to stay in that bad relationship. So just a couple of those. I know for me, going to school, I have a lot of student loan debt. And so just knowing that, like, I have that, but I don't have to remain, like, that doesn't have to stay. So we have that option. So what does it take to be frustrated, but not stay frustrated? What do y'all think? What is it going to take? In those moments when you're super frustrated, you can choose to either, like, stay frustrated, or you can get out of that frustrated feeling. Any thoughts? Yeah.
Meditation.
Okay, maybe some meditation. Yes. Say it. Praying. Okay. Cool. And so when I was thinking and kind of preparing this, it was one word that kind of came to mind in this. And that one word and thinking of how we can be frustrated, but we don't have to stay frustrated. And that word is faith. And so we are going to look at a story today. And just one of the things I want to point out, guys, when we are frustrated, keep in mind that frustration can lead to anger. And anger can lead to hopelessness if we don't know who our hope is in. And so, yes, we'll get frustrated. We're not called to stay in frustration, and just knowing that frustration does elevate and it can escalate in our lives. And so if you think about it, if you ever been frustrated, it puts you in a bad mood, and then the very next thing somebody says completes to set you off. Like that for sure has happened to me. So just knowing like there are power in those emotions, but it's so important that we can have those emotions, but not to let those emotions have us. Right? Don't let them take full control over us. So we're going to talk about a story today, a story of all stories, in my opinion. Just reading and studying through it, I was just like, man, this guy, he had it bad. And I feel like this guy had every reason to be frustrated, to even be angry at God for some of the things that happened in his life. And so, who wants to take a guess at who this story is about? Yeah. Say it. Job. Is that how you're going to say, Julie? Yes. Is it up there? I just threw that in there, you know. Yeah, so if you don't know, now you know. Job. We're going to talk about the story of Job today. So let's pray and I'll get right into it. Lord, thank you for this morning. Lord, thank you for the opportunity to speak and share your word with the students. God, I hope that you just open their hearts, open their eyes and ears to hear and receive the word that you have for them this morning as we talk about overcoming frustration with faith, God. And we just pray all of these things in Jesus' name. Amen. So let me tell you about my homie Job. Right. I say he's my homie because we're on first name basis. Oh gosh. I call him Job. So I think I'm losing it. Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay. Thanks for that, Ryan. Yes. So let me tell you about Job. Job was this rich man, right? He had all this cattle. He had a very nice life. I feel like he was living his best life. He had a big family. Rich, had animals, had crops, all of these different things. Like I said, I feel like in the story, he was living his best life and he was favored and seen by God, right? Just some things that described him in early in Job, it talks about how he feared God and stayed away from evil. God bragged about him, said he was the finest man on earth, blameless, full of integrity, like everything was going good for Job. What do we know about when times are going really good? Oftentimes what happens? Start to kind of get a little shaky. So here's the deal. Job he's living his best life, and then Satan, which is the enemy, goes to God and says, while God is bragging about Job, says, yeah, of course. Of course he's gonna love you and serve you. He's rich, he's got this big family, you've given him all these things. But I bet if you took all that away, he would turn on you. He'd blame you, and he wouldn't be this God-serving man that he has shown you to be right now. Because sometimes that's what we do. When things are going great, we're like, yes, Lord, I love you. And then when things start to go down, we're like, where are you at? Like, what's going on? So God gave Satan permission to test Job because God is so confident in who Job is that he's like, surely, even if you test him, he's still going to love me. He's still going to serve me. He's still going to be that. And so that is where we are going to pick up. But I do want to start by saying, man, sometimes the enemy will see what you're doing and see that you're doing well and make it his mission to destroy it. So if you're watching and looking, that is your very first blank on your sheet. Sometimes the enemy will see you doing well and make it his mission to destroy it. And so you can be really good at not talking to that girl, that guy that you say you weren't gonna talk to anymore because he's like bad news or she's like bad news. You can be really good about studying your Bible or praying, and the enemy's gonna see that. And he's going to do everything he can to kind of knock you off. And that's where we're going to pick up. So we are in Job chapter 1, verse 13. We're going to read through 19 to see like what ways did the enemy try to test Job. So, should be there. So, verse 13. One day when Job's sons and daughters were feasting at the oldest brother's house, a messenger arrived at Job's home with this news. Your oxen were plowing with the donkeys feeding beside them. When the Sabaeans raided us, they stole all the animals and killed all the farm hands. I am the only one who escaped to tell you. That's one. Verse 16. While he was still speaking, another messenger arrived with this news. The fire of God has fallen from heaven and burned up your sheep and all the shepherds. I am the only one who escaped to tell you. That's you. Verse 17, while he was still speaking, a third messenger arrived with this news. 3 bands of Chaldean raiders have stolen your camels and killed your servants. I am the only one who has escaped to tell you. How many is that? 3, right? Here we go. Verse 18, while he was still speaking, when I was reading this, I was like, man, this one messenger can't finish telling Job this one piece of bad news without another messenger coming and telling him something else. Crazy. While he was still speaking, another messenger arrived with this news. Your sons and daughters were feasting in their oldest brother's home. Suddenly, a powerful wind swept from the wilderness and hit the house on all sides. The house collapsed, and your children are dead. I am the only one who escaped to tell you. How many is that? 4. 4. In my head, I'm like, oh, this has happened in a matter of like 5 minutes. So 5 minutes, these messengers are coming like, hey, this happened, hey, this happened, hey, this happened. And now your kids are dead. I don't know about y'all. I know for sure by the time that third messenger came, I don't want to hear it. Just whatever it is, I don't care. Like, don't tell me. Like, I would have been so frustrated. I can't even process this one piece of news because you're still coming and telling me more. And so I feel like if anyone had any reason to be frustrated or even angry at God, this man just lost everything. He went from being the richest man with his wealthy family and cattle and everything to now having nothing. And so let's just run that back for y'all who completely missed it. So his animals were stolen, farm hands were killed, fire kills his sheep and shepherds, raided again, and the camels were stolen, and then more people died, and then all of his children were killed. I mean, this is almost the equivalent for some of you guys spilling your coffee first thing in the morning.
Oh my God.
I'm just saying. Just kidding. It's probably not. But things happen, and sometimes things happen in a series of events. So story time. So this week, it rained a lot this past week. I don't know if y'all realize. I always recognize the rain because I usually am super tired on those days and don't want to get out of bed. So it rained a lot this week, and I think it was like Wednesday or Thursday morning. I was running late because, my alarm clock wasn't that important to me that day. And so I'm rushing out the house trying to get to work or to the school. I get there and I'm grabbing all my stuff out of the car. I walk up to the door, the school building door, and I realize I forgot to put on my mask. So we have to wear masks in the school building. And it's raining, it's pouring down, like I'm moving fast through the rain because I have my rain jacket and that's it. So I get to the door, I'm like, oh, mind you, my assistant principal, like he's not far behind me, which is why I don't feel so bad. We both late that morning. It's all good. Rain happens. So I have to go back to my car, put on my mask, and then go back into the building. And for me, like I know it might seem small, but I was super frustrated. I don't like walking in the rain. I don't like getting wet in my hair. It's like, it's just gonna be one of those days. Just chalked it up as that. And so as I was thinking, and And I think we do this a lot. A lot of times we try to look for things to kind of blame on that. Like, whatever happened, like, man, who did this to me? You could only think that same morning, I have a dog that you guys know, he'll be 1 next month. He's Tristan knows. Every time we have a phone conversation, I'm like yelling at him to like go sit down, like don't chew on that, don't just stop. So that same morning, he decided in the rain that when it was time to go in his kennel, which I usually have a treat, and he knows the word kennel, so when I say kennel, he usually goes in. He decided it was gonna be time to play. So it's raining, and y'all can have whatever visual y'all want because it's probably true. So I'm like trying to figure out. That's why it was kind of late. While he's not going in his kennel, so I'm like getting him, calling his name, like, here's your treat, let's go, it's raining, all of that. And so in the car, when I'm like driving, and I'm like, I'm gonna be late, all of that, then I leave my mask, like so flustered is what that is. I blamed it on my dog. I said, look, he wanted to play this morning, and I don't have to like report that to anyone, but in my mind, I'm thinking, man, I'm looking for someone to blame, and I feel like Joe had every right in this situation where all this stuff is happening to look for someone to blame. And so what is really cool about this is Job's response. So just to give you guys, I'm going to flash forward a little bit in Job's story. Job went through a lot more than just this, right? I say just this, but this is a lot. But there was more that happened. And it did get to a point when he questioned God. But the more of the story is, God just showed him who he is. And really it was for Job to learn to trust God. And so, but I want to focus on that very first response. So we look at all of this and we see Job's story. And I want you guys to pay really close attention to how Job responded to all of this happening. So we're going to pick up in verse 20. It says, Job stood up and tore his robe in grief. Then he shaved his head and fell to the ground. To what? To worship. What? You mean all this has just happened? And what did he do? He worshiped. And so I think we can learn so much even by that. But if you keep reading in verse 22, it says, in all of this, Job did not sin by blaming God. How many times do things happen in our lives when we get so frustrated, we run to social media, or we run to tell our best, or we run to all of these other outlets? But Job, his first response was worship. And so here's what we can learn by Job's response. These are those last 3 blanks. So the very first thing, when you have authentic faith, worship is your first response. Because really, I think it's a matter of perspective. It's more so, instead of, God, why did this happen? Thinking, Lord, what are you trying to teach me in this? What are you trying to show me? Maybe he was trying to tell me I need to wake up a little earlier and get my load set first before I try to leave the house. Maybe he's trying to show you something, and whatever that situation is that has frustrated you this week, instead of saying, why, maybe what? What are you trying to show me? What are you trying to teach me? What can I learn from this? So when you have that authentic faith in knowing who God is, worship is going to be your first response. And so that second thing, God is enough even in our frustration. So just knowing the rest of Job's story, knowing that there was an end after the beginning, after all this happened, and it does end well. God ends up restoring everything that Job had 10 times more, so much more than he had. So just knowing, like, yes, he had to go through that, but God was still faithful in the end. Like, he was still enough. He was still enough in those moments when he had nothing, and he was even more when he restored everything that Job had. So knowing that God is enough, he is enough, even in our frustration. And that last thing, and this one, it brings me in a place of humility, just knowing that what the enemy uses to try to defeat us, Christ overcame on the cross. Whatever the enemy tried to use to take you out this week, through frustration or anger, like Christ overcame that on the cross. There's a reason why he died. And so my question to you guys, and you guys have already answered it early on, is what do you need to leave at the cross today? I don't know if you guys noticed, but we do have an addition to the room. We've added this cross. And so some of those things that have just super frustrated you this week, I encourage you to leave it at the cross. Knowing that it's not too big for God to handle. And Christ overcame all of those things when he died on the cross. So there's nothing that should get us to a point where we stop believing in the power of the cross. That should not happen, but the enemy's job is to make it happen, to tell you that didn't go the way you wanted to, so it's not ever going to happen. God's not going to be faithful to you in that situation, because look at you now. Like that, those are the words. That's what the enemy tries to convince us. But knowing that Christ overcame all of those things. So Kevin, if we can get just a little bit of soft music, I'm going to give you guys an opportunity. I want you to sit and look at what you wrote on that note card. I want you to look at it, and I want you to know that thing that has frustrated you, that has taken you out of your element, that has just completely flipped your week apart, right? That has made you super frustrated, maybe leaving you hopeless, maybe leaving you at a point of wondering why. I want you to know that you can leave that at the cross. It's not your burden to bear. It's not something that you have to carry with you even today, throughout this next week. It's not yours. We can leave it at the cross. So I'm going to give you guys a moment, and I want you to take that note card and drop it at the foot of the cross and know that it's done, right? We don't have to let that bad relationship overtake us. We don't have to let this school year be the end. We don't have to let the teachers, we don't have to let any of that become a burden to us. We don't have to allow it to frustrate us because Christ overcame it. So I'll give you guys a moment. I'm also going to be writing on the note cards, and I encourage our leaders to also kind of engage in whatever it is. Let's leave it at the foot of the cross. I'll give you guys a second. Give anyone else a chance who hasn't already.
No, mine's perfect.
Guys, just a few more minutes and we can sit. Alright. Everyone else. Guys, I just think there's so much power in you guys taking control of that, knowing where your hope, knowing where your peace lies, right? The opposite, I feel like, of frustration is peace. And so you guys taking ownership in that, I just encourage you when that thing comes back up this week, to remember you left it at the cross. And not to let it have power over you, not to let it influence the rest of your week. So thank you guys. I know sometimes it's hard to get up in the middle of students, but thank you guys for participating in that. I hope that it serves as a gentle reminder throughout the week that Christ overcame all those frustrations, and we can have faith in knowing who Christ is, and having faith over frustration. I'm gonna pray, and then we will get into our raffle. Dear God, we just thank you, God, that we can leave all of our frustrations, all of our worries, all of our fears, we can leave them at the foot of the cross. God, we thank you for your son who died for those very reasons that we have dropped at that cross. God, I pray that we walk in that. We walk in a freedom. We walk in a knowing of just understanding who Christ is and what he's done, and that we can be free from those things that have frustrated us, that have bound us, that has kept us in a feeling of just not knowing. God, knowing that you are sovereign and that you are all-knowing, and that you are in control ultimately. God, we just pray through the rest of this week, God, that when those moments arise, whether we are frustrated with our teachers or our schools or technology, or frustrated with just the circumstances of life, God, knowing that we can have faith in who you are. So we just pray all of these things in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, let's get to it. So hopefully you guys have gotten a raffle ticket. If you have not, please raise your hand and we will try to get you one ASAP. Oh my goodness. You're cold. We're just gonna. All right, raffle, last round. All right, here we go. First one up for our raffle. If you have ticket number 607166, come on down. 166, come on down. Come on down. All right, here she comes. All right, next up, if you have raffle number 607159, come on down. 159. Over again. All right, if you have raffle number 607165, come on down. Yes. Oh, you have it? It's vanilla. Okay, I'm gonna try to pick it up. I don't think it's all right, here we go. I'm trying to make it very classical. 607173. If that's you, come on down. 173. Oh yeah, time. Here we go. Next up, I don't see you, actually. Sorry, I'm not shooting you. Okay, here we go. 607168. If that's you, come on down. Woo! Peyton is coming down. We'll do a couple more. 607161. If that's you, come on down. And last but not least, if you are ticket number 607060. Oh, no, gotta see it. Here we go, next up. I really don't see it. I'm trying to look. Alright, last one. Gotta see it. 607172. If that is you. Okay, we got one up front. Alright guys, and thank you so much for participating. We do raffles at the end of every Sunday. You guys are good to move around the room. Have a great week.
I must be heard. Because you guys got money. You just got the ticket. I almost didn't recognize I hate your Is the live still on? The live still on. Yes, ma'am, it's still going.